Yes, you read that title right. And no, this isn't a DM me for VIP picks scam. I've spent years testing betting systems and tracking what actually works, so you don't have to donate to the sports books ever again. Because most people think betting is about picking winners like it's a psychic contest. But every bet you place without an edge is a loss waiting to happen. So in this video, I'm breaking down the best strategy where the math bends in your favor, and how smart bettors use it to win over the long run. Starting with step 1, and we first need to avoid the common mistake that destroys sports bettors. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine starting a road trip with no map, no GPS, and no idea where you're going. You might get lucky and end up somewhere decent, but most likely you'll waste time, gas, and money driving in circles. It's the same with sports betting. If you don't start with a clear strategy, you're just guessing. And listening to a guy on TikTok shouting, "Max unit banger," isn't a strategy either. These so-called experts aren't selling winning bets, they're selling hype. They win a parlay once and suddenly they're God's gift to gambling. But they don't show you the 19 losers that came before. So if you're copying their picks blindly, you're donating to two different people. Not only are you paying for the bookie's new vacation home, but you're also funding Lock Daddy 69's gambling addiction. But honestly, finding winning bets is only half the battle. The real win is knowing which ones actually profit for you in the long term. That's why I use a betting tracker. It helps me manage my bankroll better and spots when I'm messing up so I don't keep losing the same way. So, if you want to take a look, I dropped the link in the description. But earlier we talked about what not to do when it comes to sports betting. But should you do instead? Well, this leads us to step 2. And let's think about it like this. Let's say you're playing heads or tails, but you win $2 every time it lands on heads and only $1 when it lands on tails. You'd pick heads every time, right? But that's exactly what you should be doing with sports betting. You take bets that are priced in your favor. So let me show you how pro bettors see the game. Let's say a sportsbook offers plus 300 odds on a team, but the real odds should be closer to plus 200. With plus 300 odds, that gives you a 25% chance to win. And plus 200 gives you a 33% chance. So if you take that bet at plus 300, you're getting paid more than you should be. That's a positive expected value bet. Now, of course, you'll lose most of the time because it's an underdog. But let's say you bet $100 on that line 10 times. Team wins 3 out of 10, you make $900 and lose $700, and make a net profit of $200. And that's how you stop playing by the bookies' rules and start making them pay for once. But moving on to step 3 in the strategy, and this is where things start to click. Because picture this, it's a Saturday and you toss in your parlay. Man City to win, Bayern over 2.5, some random Serie B draw, and a goal scorer because he feels due. It may look okay on paper, but honestly, that's not a good slip at all. That's a lottery ticket, because one bad ref decision and it's over. So let's just say it clearly, don't bet on parlays. At least not if you're trying to actually profit long term. Parlays are built for degenerates to donate money to the bookie's yacht fund. But if you do bet them, do it smart. Only include legs that have positive expected value. And keep it to 2 to 3 legs max. Because the second you start building 6-leg heaters, you're at the mercy of an unlucky losing streak. And that's where the spiral starts. You start chasing losses and blaming the refs. And lastly, make sure they actually correlate. Like let's say you're betting on UFC and fighter A is a knockout artist. He wins fast and rarely sees round 3. But your parlay is fighter A to win and fight to go the distance. That doesn't line up. If this guy's never seen a decision in his career, betting on him to win and go all 3 rounds doesn't make sense. But moving on to step 4, and this is something that a lot of sports bettors overlook. If any of you have played poker before, then you probably understand that you shouldn't go all in every hand, right? Of course not, because that's how you get knocked out in 10 minutes. You pick your spots, you manage your chips, you play the long game. And sports betting works the same way. Bankroll management is required if you want to make a living from sports betting. And a lot of advanced bettors use the Kelly criterion to figure out their unit sizing. The Kelly criterion basically helps you size your bets based on how much edge you have. The bigger your edge, the bigger the bet. Now, full Kelly tells you the max you should bet based on your edge, but it's aggressive and a bit risky. That's why most sharp bettors use half or quarter Kelly instead. You just take the bet size and divide it by 2 for half Kelly, and you divide it by 4 for quarter Kelly. Now quarter Kelly usually lands somewhere in the 1 to 2% range. So I personally just stick to 1 to 2% per bet rather than busting out the calculator like a nerd every time I see a line I like. But the only thing that matters long term is the system you follow. That's why in my community we don't chase picks. we master a repeatable system that gives us a real edge without triggering account bans or drawing attention from the books. If you want in, there's a link in the description to see how you can join. But moving on to step 5, and this is where betting starts to look less like gambling and more like investing. Because let's say a book offers plus 400 on a team. That means they're pricing it at a 20% chance of happening. But after digging into form and stats, you estimate the chances closer to 25%. That's an immediate plus EV spot, which means you'd profit $4 for every $1 bet. So a $1 bet returns $5 total. Now take your estimated win probability, which is 25%, and multiply it by that $5 return. Then subtract your $1 stake and you get a 25% edge. So for every dollar you bet, you're expecting to make 25 cents. Place 100 bets and you get a $25 profit. Bet $1,000 over time, you're looking at $250 in return. Now you'll rarely find a 25% edge. It's usually closer to 2 to 5%. But it's kind of like compounding interest, except instead of stocks, you're finding mispriced sports bets. Which takes us to step 6, and this is where the books start sweating. Because if you're consistently making a profit, then they will come for you. Many of my coaching clients eventually get banned by the sports books, and sometimes within a few weeks. Now most people get pissed and start cursing the sports books for being unfair. But to me, that's a sign that you're doing pretty well. Because the books love losers. They survive on rent money parlays and lock of the day degenerates. But if you're consistently beating bad prices, you're a threat, and they'll cut you off fast. So here's how to stay under the radar. Don't concentrate all your action on one sportsbook. Spread your bets across multiple books. Avoid niche markets, like obscure player props or small leagues. These are easier for books to flag. Place bets closer to game time. Early sharp action draws attention. Still, even if you do everything right, limits eventually come. And when they do, you'll need to start getting creative. Family names, friend accounts, keep making new accounts until you've gone through your 1,000 cousins. But moving on to step 7. And still, even the sharpest bettors miss this one dead simple move that would multiply their edge 10 times over time. Most of them try to outwork the bookies' solo, byline shopping, modeling, and grinding data. But no matter how much effort and time you put into it, there will always be blind spots. And the fastest way to catch them? Surround yourself with people sharp enough to see what you can. I've learned a lot from just talking to friends of mine who were deep into sports betting. But be careful though, because you want to avoid groups where people are flexing 10-leg parlays. I've joined groups where people post their lock of the day because apparently they knew the coach of the team and that the squad was locked in. I don't think I've ever bet on a lock of the day that ended up winning. But this is just the start. The next step is learning how to turn those edges into consistent profits. And what if I told you that you could map out the smartest route to $10,000 a month using plus EV sports betting? In this next video, I break down a step-by-step system that helps you grow your bankroll predictably without chasing risky bets. Check it out here.